Old Trump was always a disaster on the world stage and with foreign policy, and Trump 2.0 is going to be even worse for him. In the first Trump presidency, it took foreign leaders quite a while to figure Trump out. That's because most European leaders and other world democratic leaders are pretty smart people, and they had a level of disbelief that the leader of the United States was actually a moron. They questioned their perceptions because it's just too unbelievable. Well, this time, the world is prepared, and they're going to treat him like he deserves, as a very stupid person. None more than Canadian Member of Parliament Elizabeth May. Watch her school Donald Trump and then politically threaten him after he made suggestions of celebrities who should take over the Canadian government. First, watch her humiliate Trump.
So no, sorry. And I really also take offense, sorry, Mr. Trump, took offense to your idea that Pierre Poilievre wasn't good enough to lead the Conservatives. Wayne Gretzky, I mean, he's great. He is the great one. He skates to where the puck is going. It's not going to MAGA. The puck is on a Canadian ice rink. And by the way, Mr. Trump, please, before making public pronouncements that Wayne Gretzky should run for prime minister, give yourself or get yourself a briefing on the nature of parliamentary democracy, a Westminster parliamentary system, and a constitutional monarchy where no one runs for prime minister. We have elections for members of parliament. We don't get to pick and choose among our billionaire friends for who gets a seat at the cabinet table. If they're not an elected member of parliament, well, Canadian system is different from that of the United States of America. I suggest that Mr. Trump find one of his grandchildren's school books and look at the year 1776, which may explain a few things to him about why our systems of government are different.
It's ironic that Trump should get owned over not knowing enough about the Canadian government when most Americans don't either. But the funny thing is how he went with a hockey player and Elizabeth May just body checked him right into the boards with his complete and utter lack of knowledge about Canadian politics. And this is what does not happen enough with Trump. People with stature telling him he doesn't know what he's talking about. And the best part is May was just warming up. Watch her go for the kill over Trump shooting his mouth off about Canada becoming the 51st state.
I don't want to belittle Mr. Trump, but on the other hand, hey, Donald, have we got a deal for you? You think we want to be the 51st state? Nah, but maybe California would like to be the 11th province. How about it? California, Oregon, Washington? You've got geography in common with us. And not only that, we've already got a carbon trading system between California and Quebec. We've got some strong alliances on our west coast from British Columbia. There's been a lot of academic papers on the idea of Cascadia. So California, Governor Newsom, and Washington State, Jay Inslee, and newly elected Governor of Oregon, Tina Kotek. How about it? Want to put a referendum to your citizens? Because this is what you deal. Have we got a deal for you? This is what you get. Free health care. Universal free health care. No more one-year-olds who suddenly fall off the Medicaid list and their parents are in the news because they're trying to do a GoFundMe so they can get their daughter to a doctor. Universal free health care. And guess what? Those gun laws that your Congress is too afraid to pass because of the national gun lobby, we already got our strict gun laws. That's why we have the safest streets around the world, or at least in the United States, by the way, the most recent stats, 5.9 out of every 100,000 people is killed in a fatal gun incident versus 0.88 per 100,000 in Canada. That's because we have strict gun laws. California citizens, Oregon, Washington, safer streets. Here we already have good gun laws, and women have a right to an abortion under our universal health care system. But, we don't have to stop there. Donald, think about it. You could get rid of all these states that always vote Democrat. You know what else will take Bernie Sanders off your hands? Proud new Canadian citizen of the great province of Vermont. Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. We'd love to see you. Our maritime provinces already have deep, deep links and ties. Well, enough kidding around. But honestly, President Trump, get used to it. Canada is a sovereign nation full of, guess what, proud Canadians. We're not jingoistic. We don't boast a lot. That's one of the things we kind of have in common with Jimmy Carter. We're not a big nation for braggarts and bullies. We actually like to think we're of service in the world. We could do better. We can always do better. But we love our country. And it's a country. It's a nation. And we do not aspire to be a 51st state. So let's not hear that anymore. If it was a joke, it was never funny. And it ends now.
Now, May's suggestion about California and the rest of the West Coast joining Canada, along with New England, is brilliant on many levels. First of all, it sends a very powerful message to Trump. Hey, two can play this game. And it's not a good idea for you to play because you're just not as smart as us. We can run circles around you, as this small speech just showed you. The other brilliant thing about May's response is that it's just as much a threat, if not more, than Trump's threat. To begin with, losing California would be an enormous economic blow to the United States. California alone is the 5th largest world economy. Add that to Canada, along with Washington and New England, especially if it included Massachusetts, would be devastating. But along with an economic threat, May's response is a clear cultural threat too. Ever since the re-election of George W. Bush, Americans have talked about seceding to Canada. It's an idea that has been out there, and May just feeds the desire to do it by talking about the two things progressive states want most: universal health care and strict gun control laws. Not to mention abortion rights and a political structure that limits the influence of billionaires. May taunting Trump that he would never have to worry about these states voting democratically is a particularly strong taunt because it points directly to the reigning political dynamic of the U.S., that the progressive states provides the lion's share of federal income that then gets distributed to the red states in the form of subsidizing their education systems, healthcare systems, and their environmental protections as well. Red states talk a great fiscal conservative game, but it's because they get their money from the federal government. Without California and New England, the red states of America would collapse. And by keeping this discourse alive, May is feeding a tiny political concept that could snowball quickly, especially if Trump 2.0 turns out as toxic as promised. But mostly what May has done is model behavior for all the world's political leaders. Do not attempt to appease this buffoon. Confront him, school him, embarrass him, and threaten his weaknesses. There are many. And have a female deliver the message: nothing embarrasses him and frightens him more than smart women. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.